What's up everyone, my name is Mike and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about my move to sell all of my collectibles last week and then to purchase back in after the gem squeeze. Let's get into this. First things first, I know a lot of people were dismayed about my decision to do this. A lot of comments about that I don't know how to invest, I don't know what I'm doing. Lots of comments attacking me. You could definitely attack my decisions. I completely agree with that. As I said in those videos, I knew the risks going into doing this. I knew what I was up against, and I knew what I was doing in order to be able to either get the gains that I wanted or at least have a threshold in place where I was willing to take the loss and get back into most of my positions if it came to that. I know this was a gamble, and I know that it needed to have some luck involved with this to be able for it to pay off, but ultimately it was a calculated gamble. I figured there was a good drop coming up eventually for the weekend, and I knew that a good drop brings a gem squeeze. These are things that we know with Veve. Ultimately, it's going to get to a point where the floor prices of these collectibles get so low that it only has to go up. But before that happens, I'm sure I can do this maybe one, maybe two more times. Like I said, this week I'm not going to do it because of the news coming on Wednesday that they're going to release. And that is a gamble because we don't know whether it's going to be a good catalyst or a negative catalyst, but we do know gem squeezes. A lot of people comparing this to the stock market. This is not the stock market. The stock market does not have gem squeezes. The stock market does not have catalysts that we can predict as well as gem squeezes. If it did, there's more than enough people that can exploit that in the stock market to a point where it doesn't become something that we can rely on. Veve's still small. Veve still has these gem squeezes that we can capitalize on, and this is where my decision came into doing this. Watch those previous two videos if you want more information on my thought process on this. But let's get into some of my moves and what I did. As I discussed at the time of posting that video, I had listed all of my collectibles on Veve to sell in the market, and all but one. My Iron Man I was not going to sell. And for the most part, every single one sold. My Deadpool didn't sell, and I've been trying to sell that, the ultra rare. I tried to sell it at 305 and it just kept on getting undercut to a point where I wasn't comfortable with selling it. And actually that would have ended up being my #1 sale to purchase back in on. I would have made the most amount of gems on that in retrospect, but it just kept on getting undercut further and further to a point where I couldn't sell it. And I've been trying to sell it all the way back to the 600s where it was there, and I just can't get rid of it. But I'm going to go through some of my successes with this move as well as some of my failures. Now, it turns out even after this drop of the Disney Golden Moment duos that the market still kept on going down. I could have actually made out even a little bit better than what I had these, but I purchased back in the market in the early Saturday morning prior to the drop, and I still made out fairly well with this. Like I said, I had three options. I was either going to purchase more gems, which I do not want to do anymore. I was going to wait for my collectibles to appreciate, to sell one to be able to get more gems for future drops, which I didn't think was going to happen, or option three was to do this move. So with this, I'm going to show you some of my successes and some of my less successful flips. We had my Disney lenticular cards. I had the Minnie Mouse and the Daisy Duck. The Daisy Duck I listed for 225 gems, and then I bought back at 188 gems. With the transaction fee, this turned out to be a 17 gem gain, so below my 10% that I wanted to earn from these flips, but still I'll take 17 gems. And then my mini was not as successful. I sold it for 205, I got back into it at 180, and this gives me 7 gems after the fees. Not what I was really looking for, and these lenticular cards actually dropped even further after this drop, so these would have been good to just wait it out and see what that would have happened. But I figured that the market, as with most gem squeezes, goes up after the big drop. My Black Panther uncommon I sold for 55, and I actually ended up getting a 3-digit Black Panther, so I traded up for that at 100. So I actually lose out on that, but I got a 3-digit, which I'm really happy about. My failure of Control was my best one, selling for 115, and I got back into it at 83. That gives me 29 gems after the 2.5% fee on that one. My Ben Riley wasn't as good, with 305 gems being sold for, and I got back into it at 266. Another one that just continued to drop after the Disney Golden Moments drop. After the seller's fee, I got 13 gems out of that one. My Catwoman, 135 I sold it for, got back into it at 117. It dropped as low as 90. I made out with 14 gems after that 2.5% fee for that. And probably my worst one, as I've said in my worst purchases, I sold the Invisible Woman ultra rare for 145 gems, and afterwards I didn't even get back into my Invisible Woman. So that goes down as my biggest failure, not getting back into it. I just decided I didn't want a non-FA anymore, and I decided to put my gems elsewhere. So with all of these moves and just showing you some of my highlights in terms of selling and getting back into them, as well as some of the ones that I didn't do so well in, I actually ended up with a Woody at 200 gems added to my collection, as well as the Up House at 90 gems added to my collection, and an NYX Uncommon comic, and it's a 3-digit. I got that one for 40 gems. And when all was said and done, I have still 115 gems left to be used for future drops, so I consider that somewhat of a win after all of this. I just wanted enough to be able to go for future drops with collectibles because I wasn't willing to put in any more gems into this. I could have done better if I just waited it out after the drop, but with most gem squeezes, usually we see a run up of collectibles immediately after a big drop. So I decided to just get into my positions just before that drop. I was even considering just not getting back into my positions and purchasing an Iron Man because they went as low as 800 and even lower after that drop as well. Ultimately, this was really fun to be able to have some skin in the game and to see what I could do with this to make it a little bit more entertaining. In the last couple weeks, I haven't really been on Veve just for the lack of gems in general. So it was nice to really get back into things. Like I said, I do not recommend you do this. Things are getting much lower than I even expected with the market, so who knows where the floor is going to be, where things just really begin to appreciate even further. I'm not going to do this week, like I said, with the announcement coming on Wednesday, and that's a real gamble, whether it's good news or bad news. I may do this in the future with more gem squeezes to see if I can milk any more gems, but for now, I'm just staying put and watching where the market goes. I'll update you if I do this in the future. And like I said, I know this was a gamble. I know what I was putting up with, and I knew what I was getting into with this. Like I said, do not invest into Veve what you're willing to lose. You should be willing to see this money go to zero because we just don't know the future of Veve, what will happen with this platform. This is just play money for me. Whatever you say in the comments, but I do appreciate anything that you do leave in the comments, good, bad, whatever it might be. Leave it in the comment section below what you think about this move that I did. What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? I respond to anybody and everybody that leaves a comment. Leave a like as well. That really helps me with this channel and to bring you more Veve content around these topics if that's what you want from this. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Veve content. Thank you so much for watching.